shortcomings and our sins. But on that note, Sheikh Dawood Faizi was an immigrant or a dark immigrant from the Caribbean. And his background came from an Algerian sheikh named Ahmed al-Badi. And he was of the Qadri Tariqa, which is a Sufi order. But one of the things about Sheikh Dawood, he never promoted the Tariqa. He never promoted the Tasawwuf. He promoted Islam. But it is amazing fact that during the Ahmadiyya movement, as that was going on, the Ahmadiyya movement is known to have gathered a lot of jazz musicians, right? A lot of Muslims, like, in fact, John Coltrane originally was of the Ahmadiyya movement, and then he came into Sheikh Faizi's movement in the State Street Master in Brooklyn, New York, which still stands today. And he married, Sheikh Dawood married to a Muslim sister named Amina. So our history is real deep. So the State Street Master was established in Brooklyn, New York in 1931. Imagine that, 1931. So now you got the Ahmadiyya movement, you got the Noble Ali movement, you have Nation of Islam that's starting up, you have all of these things that Allah, by whatever means He did, He brought Islam to our people. That is significant, and that should not be just brushed away. You know, like it doesn't mean anything. Because no matter by what door that we came in, we are here today. We are here today, loving the Holy Messenger, Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is powerful. So now, originally before he started the State Street Master or the Islamic Mission of America, and it's amazing how that sounds like the American Muslim Mission of W.D. Muhammad. So it was always thought or to get the African or African American descendants to come into Islam and allow it to be a Muslim mission. To me, that's that we not only being here in America, we need to establish America here in America for us. It has nothing to do with taking away from an African faith or Jafari faith or Maliki faith, but we do need a faith here because we are in a peculiar situation. We constantly get the question, should I buy a house because of the riba? Should I get a house because of the riba? What about marriage? How do I do this? What about polygamy? How do I do this? And all of these people that came before us established or even went through these same questions that we have. One of the things that Sheikh Dawood did in Brooklyn, New York, that he was so intricate and so significant in Brooklyn, New York, they got together with the city council and the mayor of New York City, and they got the American mission of Sheikh Dawood's to establish their own birth certificates, their own marriage certificates, their own death certificates. They have pictures here. They call it the when you got your Shahada certificate, they call it the Shahada certificate. They call it the adoption of Islamic certificate. So when you adopted Islam, you became a surrogate of Islam. You became an adopted child of Islam. And that is in line with the Sunnah of Rasulullah, that we are one family, that your true family is those who believe in Allah in the last day and follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So this adoption that they did was spread all out. Now it's amazing how, to me, since the State Street Master, and maybe this maybe goes to your point as far as the first African American master came from this particular brother. So they didn't give that credit to Sheikh Dawood because he was from the Caribbean. But when you walk up to a Caribbean, you don't say you're from coconut. You say you're a black man like me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and then wasn't she one of his wife was starting the school in LA?
It wasn't never enough evidence in regards to say that it
was mashallah. So see, this is why another reason why we need to know our history. So before they occupied the building on 143 State Street, which there is no plaque up to this day of Sheikh Dawood. Sheikh Dawood returned to Allah, if I'm not mistaken, in 1988. So from 1931 to 1988, he was at the State Street Masjid at 143 State Street in Brooklyn, New York, and there's not one plaque there about that. Because so many people came from that movement, so many people, they didn't come to the Nation of Islam, or they didn't come through the Ahmadiyya movement. They, somebody in their family, twice removed from their dad's side, came through the State Street Massacre. And then from that, in 1962, you had the Dar Islam movement, where Sheikh Abdul Karim Yahya, and also, there's another name here, Sheikh Mahmoud Ibrahim. These two giants started the Dar Islam movement around 1961, 1962. But there's a significant other person I want to give you his name. Yes. In 1960, Sheikh Dawood hired a teacher who was a Hafiz of Quran named Hafiz Mahbub. He was associated with the Tablighi Jamaat. But he was black, or he looked black. They don't want to talk about that too much. But I was talking about he was of Italian, he was black. So the young African converts, one named Rajab Mahmoud, Yahya Abdul Karim, Suleiman Abdul Hadi, and Muhammad Salahuddin. He says, man, this is heavy dude. Right? You're just one, right? So, while studying, see, this is another thing, and this, I think this is the difference sometimes between the Northeast and the Midwest and the left coast, which we call California, the left coast. So, because even the fast drivers driving the wrong lane in the left coast of California. But these brothers, as they study the Arabic language, and this is my point in the Northeast, even in some of the temples of the Nation of Islam during the 1960s and the 70s, they were learning the Arabic language. So Arabic was always a strong point for us, in order for us to come up behind those older people to read the Quran for ourselves. But it was on the advice of Hafiz Mahmoud that because during the 1960s, the early 1960s, there was more immigrants that was coming in. Pakistanis, Indians was coming in, and they were going to the State Street Massacre. So at this particular time, this is the 60s with the black movement, SNCC, and all of this was going on, that Sheikh Mahmoud went to Yahya Abdul Karim and Suleiman Abdul Hadi and said, listen, why don't y'all start your own master? And this is how the Dar Islam movement came about, right? So in 1962, so they established, as Imam Jihad was talking about, an hierarchy or leadership in their Muslims. And I think us in leadership, we have to hold ourselves accountable for this verse. Because we cannot promote the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam if we're not going to practice the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the one thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and inspired the Prophet to say is that we're going to be raised with our leaders. We're going to be raised with our imam. Who is your imam? Is your imam just a temporary brother that you just call when you're in trouble? Or is he the man that you just call when you just need to learn something? Or do you actually have bay'ah with this imam? And see, this is another term that we want to get away from. You have to have the Sahaba, the Ahmadiyya Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the companions of the Prophet gave him his allegiance. The reason why we can't give ourselves allegiance is because we tie into organizations and we have no trust in each other. These organizations that we are speaking about, that we are not giving no justice to, will likely never forgive us. Because when you talk about Rajab Mahmoud and Yahya Abdul Karim and Sheikh Hadi, these are the people, man, that they lived and died. They went up against police, they established the Yazidi Masjid, they established the Madrasa in Brooklyn. They had their stores. They had allowed meat. Wait, we still argue about what's allowed and what the bottom control, or from what supermarket, whatever. We don't even want to establish ourselves. We talk about these people, but if we can't even eat what is proper for us, how are we going to follow them? How are we going to give them their just due? So this hierarchyism of Islam is paramount. We are suffering as a people because we have not established at least on the baseline. Like me and my wife was talking about this the other day about psychological behavior and how there is a baseline for everything. There may be skews in it because of ethnicities and bone structure and everything like that when we come into medical instances, but there's still a baseline. High blood pressure is high blood pressure for a white man as well as a black man. It is just high. There's still a baseline. There is a baseline in Islam. The baseline of Islam is the Quran. The filters of that is the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The branches of that is the leadership of having caliphs and amirs and wazirs and having the Bayt al-Mal. Why is it that when we get in financial trouble, we have to go outside of our communities when our communities have money? So when we talk about these giants, we talk about organizations, what were they? They were more than just African American organizations. They was Islamic institutions trying to worship Allah and follow the Prophet ﷺ on the best of their ability at the time that they had. Now we got Sheikh Google, Greg Mufti YouTube, we got Nino Brown, we got Cat Williams, we got the Sunnah, we got we got Muslim, Abu Dawood, we argue about my shaykh and your shaykh, and we still our children are suffering because we're the majority of our schools. So one of the things that the Prophet ﷺ, please correct me, he said, establish the masjid, establish the school, establish business. I think one way to translate is establish the masjid, establish the business, establish school. Is that correct? So where's our masjid? Where's our business? Where's our education? We have scholars from amongst ourselves. It is good for us to go overseas and learn and bring back to our community and become in partnership with other Islamic communities. But are these organizations and these giants that we're speaking about, they establish in their neighborhoods? We are in our neighborhoods, or we mostly in the burbs? And then we can see it, we come back to the neighborhoods. We're going over the neighborhoods. Okay? So now, one of the things that the Dar es-Salaam movement did outside of the State Street Masjid is that they spread. They spread all up and down the East Coast. They went west, and we know about the Dar es-Salaam movement in Philly. In Philly, that's a subject within itself. Philadelphia Muslims. So we don't want that. Another thing. I want to bring your attention to a couple of businesses that was on Flatbush Avenue that was established by Raja Mahmoud and Yahya Abdul Kareem, and one of those was the Malcolm Brothers Bakery on Atlantic Avenue in the early 60s. They would find, they would buy Peter Bear, they would have Bow Meat, they would have other stores. The East Coast was such a thing that there was no allowed markets in the 60s for Muslims. So they had these other Muslim businesses that would sell halal meats and other things in their stores. What else I want to hit real quick. Because we wanted to give y'all an opportunity to ask questions. Okay, one of the things, this is that I'll conclude with this. And I think this is one of the things that separates the Northeast from a lot of other areas in the country. Is that, I don't know, let me get a short hint. Anybody here been to National Tupperware Brooklyn? You know, that's right? Most everybody's been there. When you go in there, it is a multiplicity of people. There's not just one existence of people, but everybody everybody knows about Masjid Taqwa, right? Everybody knows about Masjid, Nasrallah. It was the same existence during the time of Sheikh Dawood. Before the advent of Masjid Taqwa, there was a safety masjid. The Malays, the Africans, the Nigerians, the Ethiopians, the Sudanese, the Pakistanis, the Indians, the Africans, everybody went over there. And from there, they went wherever else they wanted to go. There is a lot of information on Sheikh Google about the State Street Masjid. There are pictures, there are photocopies of their certificates that they gave Muslims and this, that, and the other. So, alhamdulillah, again, forgive us for not being able to do justice to all of this because there's a whole lot of material that we both have here, and if we went through it, we could take up a whole lot of sessions. So we ask Allah to forgive us all our shortcomings and our sins and have mercy on our soul. And we ask Allah to increase us with the yaqeen and the haqiqah that we could be as good as or as better or at least comparable to those who came before us. These are our mothers and fathers that we're talking about in this deen of Islam. And they all follow the sunnah or have a love for the holy last messages of Allah. And you have to ask yourself, where will we be at? Or where will we be right now without the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So we are open for any questions that you may have, inshallah, or any comments, statements. Yes, ma'am.
Basic question. Someone very ignorant in this industry, is there any book or some kind of source you recommend?
Yes, there is a book. I don't know the name of the book.
Yeah, Turner, his name is Brent Turner. Yeah. Brent Turner, I think Islam in America. So you have Turner, anything by Turner, Brent Turner, and then also is it Eric C. Lincoln? Anything by huh?
What's the name again?
Brent Turner. But there's I think Brent may be his middle name. The last name Turner, Lincoln, Eric C. Lincoln. Anything by him. You have Michael Gomez. Anything by Michael Gomez. You have
Sheikh Lukman Ahmed, the Dawud Islam movement in America.
Yeah, Sheikh Lukman Ahmed. And those are easy reads too.
Yeah.
Those are easy reads.
For those who want to see it, this is one of the certificates of the Islamic Mission of America. It's a birth certificate, and this was certified by the state and the city of New York. And this was done in the 1930s. Also here is your certificate for accepting Islam. So I'll leave these up here if you want to come by and look at it. But those were 2 or 3 or 4 books that you can get. And there's probably
Black Pilgrimage to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Black Pilgrimage to Islam.
One of the things I wanted to say that she has said is that a lot of times you come up on people, and my wife starts shaking when it happens to her. But when someone comes from another country and they ask us if we Muslim, I can be dressed just like this, my beard a little longer, and they ask us if we're Muslim. And then they turn around. The insulting thing to me, I would rather ask them, the insulting thing to me is to turn around and say, I didn't even know there was a masjid around. That means you was never looking for one, and that needs to be said. You wasn't looking for one, so why would you ask? So I think we are living in 2024. As much as media accessibility that we have, for someone to ask you something like that, that's offensive. It's truly offensive. Because I would never come up to an immigrant brother and I see him with his wife and then ask the brother, are you Muslim? So why is it done? So it's like we cannot have Islam here in America when Islam has existed since the brother got off the boat. Suleiman? Yes.
Oh,
Suleiman, yes. Yeah, and before that, so alhamdulillah. Any other questions? Yes?
Forgive my ignorance, brother.
No.
So I'm understanding that, natural discourse establishes the grasp, establish a madrasa. And it seems like we're kind of American humor hitting around that kind of haphazard. What is the course of action to establish an American
An American what?
movie, a business council? What is it,
You want to go first on that? I got something on that. I mostly like a Khalifa. Yeah, establishing a Khalifa in the near this country.
Don't get it. But
We were just talking about this. I'll give it short. I'll give it short. I think that the leadership that, I said this to my wife. We was driving up here today. The story of Musa alayhi salatu salam going into the promised land came to my mind. And you remember how he wasn't allowed to go into the promised land, right? They had to wander for 40 years, right? Until that generation, the still that was left over, that wasn't destroyed at Mount Sinai, they had to die off. Personally, this is my personal humble opinion, that I think there's still another 40 years for us to walk around, for the older leadership to die off. And the reason why I say that is because there's so much ego. We think that we own this, and this belongs to Allah, and it's nothing just of Allah. And okay, so I'll make it general. It is the fact that I think by a little bit on age, chronologically, but this brother has studied much more than I have. You follow what I'm saying? So why should I step back and let him go forward? Why should I give up the midbar and let him go? And I'm so in the corner with my these happy and be thinking of the law, and then when he need me for something, I come. So we have to remove our egos. The brothers that's going on the midbar at 75, 80 years old, they need to step. The Prophet of Allah said, you walk into the house of Allah, you get no noise, you got no future because we got no children in there. We talking about we want the children away from the youth. How can we keep the youth when you don't even have a center or a community center for them to hang out? They're going to get in the stuff. We got in the stuff. I'm still getting in the stuff. I'm trying to get myself saved. You know what I'm saying? Yo, our kids, we think we're going to raise angels. Where in the scripture do we even Yahoo had 12 sons, 10 sons just went crazy. They wanted to kill the prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So wait, we think that our kids ain't going to get in the sun. You know what I'm saying? But if we have something for them, they can come back into something good. So in order for us to have leadership, to establish the hierarchy in Islam, according to the Sunnah of Rasulullah, a group of people are going to have to go off and do. That's it. The organizations and everybody in there own those centers and their masters, they either follow or they don't. We have to realize two things. One is always going to be city folk. So those Muslims that's in the city, we need to tie into them and see how we can best network and organize and give support. Those that's in, and we don't have to go on no land that's undeveloped and all of this. There's towns in Texas that the population is 80, that buildings and stuff still stand. We can go buy a town. That's electricity. Yeah. If you really want to establish Islam, the Prophet didn't establish Medina until he left Mecca. Hijrah has to take place. That's my humble opinion from the shul that I sit with.
yeah, I would definitely say, in regards to our elders, because even myself and coming into leadership, I needed someone who was senior over me. Unfortunately, they put me in the imam position, and I'm the highest up. I think there's a problem here. And I think, what we have here is that, many of our communities, there has yet to be this mechanism that manages these generations, the relationship between the generations, a simple mechanism such as retirements, and that mechanism, it has to be beyond just a symbolic retirement, but something actually given to an amount and also position, maybe a transition into a senior imam, we don't have those mechanisms in place. So we have in some of our masajid, our imams still giving khutbah, which is no problem, but to be the resident imam in your 80s, and now I'm like, okay, for my position, I'm already planning that because what I don't want to happen is that I'm an imam, or I'm the imam giving khutbah almost every week in my 70s, 80s, and 90s. So we have a mechanism where it's putting away for some retirement for me, so I can have it, and then I can transition into more senior positions. So it's about organizing, looking at models that have already developed this. There have been plenty of models. There are even now African American groups who have elected, they've elected maybe a Khalifa or the big sheriff or whatever, whatever name they give it. There are groups. The issue is that they're fringe groups, and it's only 10 to 20 of them. They're power in numbers, but we have to realize that I think now we're looking at our numbers decline. We don't have those people to go out and do the case studies. Organizations, even big corporations, when they start seeing numbers decline, they have someone to go and do a case study, which includes interviews and so on and so forth. Have we, in our communities, we just watch our youth stop coming. We watch and then we look up one day and there's no youth, But there was a portion of time when we start beginning to question where are the youth. At that moment, we should have been doing these case studies, making sure we put together reports that includes interviews on what happened. We haven't got to that level of sophistication, but we need to. It's that time to get to that level of sophistication to see. Yeah, it's past that time. So I think now when we have the opportunity to do now, we can look at different corporations and see why they merged. So I'm looking at different models to see maybe it's that time you have a few masajid in the same area in Los Angeles, right? 10 people at every masjid. This don't make no sense. We've divided our resources. The people come to the masjid. There's no options in regards to who we're gonna get married to, and our young people are looking at their options, and they're like, man, ain't no options here. So this is when we merge. But we so connected to these buildings that we have. I told the community one day, I said, hey, let's make the building even higher, let's make it a restaurant. We'll make this other building a school. We need to be thinking like that. But it's very typical when we do have these egos. So our reality is that we have egos. So that's where we place deliberately in our organizations. We have to place things that continue to give our elders competence to continue to say that you're important. We can't bestow away our elders. We can't bestow away our elders. So we have to have those things in place. So I told the group, I said, there's gonna be one time I'm still gonna have ego, but allow me to grow older with grace. Don't kick me out. Put me over here, maybe a consultant or something. Have that and give me a little stipend, a little retirements. Let me have some dignity as I get older. So I don't want to be in all of this kicking people out every day. So I could go on and on. I saw.
Your question. Did it help?
And we can talk more offline to really understand the question too. More after this. Why?
To your point about the
Right now. So in addition to having our community, having action, having the schools, of course, creates community because everyone's coming and feeling invested, they have their children in a safe space and being educated like, for those procedures and having that kind of experience. We want to ensure, inshallah, that we are putting our seniors out to pasture by having them in roles, well, this is something that we're developing more, I should say, in the sense of this. I community last month at the beginning of the meeting, we addressed what outcomes and goals and priorities related to 2023, but also initiated the stance of the Liberty Project, which consists of institutional programs, resources that implement the generation. And you may have what that look like or what that look like now. So specifically, educational things like trust and will, like understanding how these things are happening, having senior services on site for the seniors, having programs on which they can include the next generation different capacities for the better. Things from home making, development and trade, to leadership, commandship, and informing them to take a course or take a path that allows them to develop their strong more to be leaders in inshallah. And so we have a lot of ideas and we're doing this, so I feel like we'll show you social services day, but every month we have the month which the senior will address some capacity related to where they are like insurance, bill, proper burial, so all of our exercise classes with them very consistently having that. So putting them in so they can find home and it's really like left out of the collective community. But also having classes for the young adults. Like we have an organization that is in there, Muslim Culture Camp, which is specifically for young adult Muslims nationally. Starting here in our community internationally, but she's connected with other executives across the country. Alhamdulillah, to connect the young adults to have more purpose and what that purpose to mean, right? And so she was thinking all that, but to your point, you can't have, of course, studies to go and offer not participating in engagement as much, but we have to take action and really has to now to right? Listening to them, having this information, what we do right now to ensure the continued growth and development. So that was our stance. Like, what can we do to continue after the, I'm for some women here. After we, of course, graduated from high school, what's set up us to build that, like, within the community consistently. So, we are mindful of that when you are in a position of volunteering and impactful to those that are behind you. You have to like that role, you're more vested, you will become more consistent.
Yeah, we got to get people involved. I mean, that's you all. I mean, this is the model that has to be studied. And seemingly, you all have numbers. That's an important piece too. There's power in numbers. I agree with this. What we've seen in the past is that a disgruntled group goes off up the street, opens a masjid. I'm a part of that, but I don't think that because what happened when I became a imam, I inherited all of this division. I had nothing to do with it, and I'm like, I can't go to certain masjids, right, in the area because of something that had nothing to do with it, So that division, there needs to be an important mechanism that I say that every community needs training in is conflict resolution. How to have also difficult discussions, right? We can't deceive each other. And then I would close it off with this, is that continuously pushing the imams towards education. Because there comes a point where you have some of the younger imams coming up with maybe some newer technologies, And if the imam spent so much time trying to look after the affairs of the community, from marriages to everything else, but didn't take time and have sabbaticals to further their education and also write their own books and everything else, when that younger imam comes with these technologies, because most likely they may have started studying earlier, then the imam gets insecure. We're all human beings, I try to put myself to make sure that I have time where I'm constantly developing, because I know that my issue, which is all my issue, we can deny it all we want, is also ego and feeling competent about myself, right? So I want to make sure I don't feel threatened by some younger imam coming up. I want to be able to move aside gracefully, but at the same time with some dignity. So, but there's some things that I think we can offer to the community. But whatever it is, like our sister said, we need to get busy and get to acting. Right now, we can't just sit aside and pontificate and theorize on what we should have done or what we should do. We need to get busy and start doing it.
We have, I think the sister over here had a question, young sister.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
What does it mean by, we didn't establish Medina until,
Yes, ma'am. I was saying that the Prophet ﷺ did not establish the model of an Islamic community until they made hijrah from Mecca to Medina.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And sister, to your question, is just one more thing that I would add on to, speaking about the giants that came before us, Imam Waqifuddin Muhammad Rahmatullahi Rahimahullah. I think that he does not get enough play in his text of the Quran. But also one of the things in his organization that he did, he had conveners. He had regional conveners. Like you had the Northeast section, you had the Mid-Atlantic section, you had the South, right? And in whatever states that included, you had each imam would go to that particular khalifa or emir of that region. And then they would all come together when the imam called it, right? So if you split it up like that, as an example or as a model, that way it even goes to the sister's question and statement about what we can do, because each area has different concerns and different aspirations. You have to know your environment and what the people need. So, like coming from the South, there's a different type of flavor than it is in the Northeast. So, the convener from the Northeast may can hear what's happening in the South. They can come together, get ideas, and say, okay, now we're doing this. But you still have leadership within the area. I think you even have to start at something like that. That was not a bad model to me. That was actually an excellent model. And because America is diverse, it is very diverse. One of the things I'll let you all know with this, during the 90s, and you may remember this, during the 90s, the major organizations, Muslim organizations of America, ICNA, ISNA, the American Muslim Mission, and the community mosque that was run by Imam Jamil Al-Amin, and may Allah save him from that fight for human freedom. They decided, the four leaders of those organizations decided that every 2 years, the emirs of those individual organizations would become the emir of America. So if the president of ICNA, the president of ISNA, Imam Jamil and Imam W.D. Muhammad, each one every 2 years would rotate and be the leader of the whole community. A lot of people don't remember that or even knew that. But because they didn't have, I would say, good subordinates under them or good emirs under them, their egos got in the way, and the organizational structure and ethnicity divided up the masses. So we are peculiar, and I heard Imam W. Muhammad Rahimahullah said, we are a peculiar community because America is peculiar. So you have to have a different type of medicine to work in America. And that's why I have to go back to Quran. We can talk about it, but until we try to live it, we will never be able to amplify it or see it in its fulfillment.
I think we're closing out right now. I want to definitely tell you all some of the things that you all have going on in Los Angeles. Y'all didn't know y'all have an entire community in Los Angeles, and definitely we have to see each other as sister massages. Like all of us, we need each other. So we're looking at Isla. Everyone say Isla LA.
It's not.
That's your organization. I hope you do that. Okay. And then everyone say Isla Academy. Okay, there's a few things in closing what we have going on, alhamdulillah. What we have going on, alhamdulillah. We have I don't know. So we're on Crenshaw and Slauson, right now Slauson 2900 West Slauson Boulevard. Alhamdulillah, we have a campus right there. We have a full-time school, okay, from K through 8, educating our children for and every language and Islamic sciences plus the STEM sciences. Alhamdulillah, right there. And this is a school that services African American children. Alhamdulillah. So 75 African American children right there being educated in a full-time school with products of Sister Claire Muhammad School. Those stories, I think, and I love my elders. They used to get on my nerves with long stories. But what they were doing, they were creating an environment, they socializing in a beautiful environment where we wanted to continue that type of orientation in regards to the Islamic education in that environment. So we have a full-time school, we have a full-time food pantry. We have also housing. We have housing for the formerly incarcerated men and women and those threatened with homelessness. And also we have housing for refugees. We have mental health services. We told our entire campus, we said, everybody, we need healing. All of us need healing, so all of us sitting up there with therapists. Alhamdulillah. We have a robust Islamic studies program. We teach Arabic language, Quran, and so on and so forth. Alhamdulillah. So that's your organization, Islah LA and Islah Academy. Alhamdulillah. It's always beautiful to get out and see my brothers and sisters. And alhamdulillah, although our task can seem so daunting, alhamdulillah, we have so much talent around America. We have case studies in the history that we need to push this thing forward. So let's continue to do what we need to do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has offered a beautiful story for us. And Allah is the best of authors. So whatever we went through, Allah knows best. So we have appreciation for all of our elders. Alhamdulillah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our Imam, our Shaykh. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forever have mercy on him and his family. I'm honored to be on the panel next to one of my words.
It's totally my honor to be here with you, man. We met some years ago at the Lighthouse in LA, and it's been a connection, even though we don't see each other or talk much, but it's still a connection there. And my last remarks to all of us here is take advantage of the days that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has us here, because one day we're gonna get that call, somebody's missing. And we're about to enter the month of Sha'ban. It's one of the months of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, during this month, let us prepare ourselves for the holy month, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala allow us to see the first and the last day of Ramadan. May Allah ta'ala bless us all to and accept our ibadah and all of our things that we're doing in the month of Ramadan. And may Allah ta'ala save the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And may Allah ta'ala forgive the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah ta'ala protect the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah ta'ala allow all of us to see the holy last message of sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Jannah, those or even Jannah al-Ma'wa. May Allah ta'ala save us all from the hellfire, forgive us our shortcomings. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. There's a restaurant on the premises that offers a buffet. When you step out of this hall, make a left, pass the napkin, and go through the dump zone. It's a restaurant on the left. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's it.